Okay, guys, I'm going to give you a bit of a heads up, a tutorial measuring on the project items here, the external walls. So we've done some of the items in the foundations. We measured our ground floor, we measured our gross floor area. So you should be good in that regard in terms of, well, if you came to tutorials. This is a little video tutorial for a view week that will help you out with getting going with the external walls. Now, as I showed you before, good measurement practices, we measured it per floor. So what we got here is we got our external walls, we got a 100mm brickwork wall on the ground floor, 100mm blockwork wall on the ground floor, and then we've got a 100mm blockwork fair-faced wall. So a little bit of a finer finish on those walls that are kind of on the inside face, facing the warehouse. You'll see what I mean there, and I think that's the way you measured it with Figure as well, when you did it by hand as such, in the dimensions in Excel. Okay, so starting maybe with the first one, might as well just copy what I want to measure. Copy and then go to my Autodesk Takeoff. Now, external walls, I'm going to measure it from the ground floor. This was my foundation. I measured foundation strips the last time around as such. So I'm going to click Sheets and Models. I'm going to navigate to my ground floor first floor plan, and then I'm going to go back into my takeoff types. So I'd measured before on that one, I believe, my ground floor area or gross internal floor area. I'm going to hide it because I don't want it to be seen. And then all these other dimensions were measured on a different floor plan. That's why they're not, you can't see them. So I'm going to click plus and I'm going to paste in, hopefully it's there. Yeah, I'm going to paste in that first takeoff. Now you can write it in and that's fine. I'm going to measure it per meter. I believe that's essentially the bold, what I'm looking for. So that's per meter as a distance, and the color is fine. And all I'm really looking for in terms of these walls is their area, nothing else in terms of the additional quant. So wall area is my output. And this time around, I want to put it in 21 external walls as opposed to 19 or 1.9 substructure, because this is now starting above the ground floor level, and then meters squared. So distance times height. Now you can see from this that I've given you the height. It's 2.7 from the ground floor level up to the first floor level. And again, I'm measuring it per floor, so that's the height I'm going to apply. Now you can measure these per both floor heights, and maybe it might be 4.5 or 4.7 meters up to the parapet height, but I'm keeping it per floor because it's good measurement practice. So I can type in distance because that's what I'm looking for in terms of my measured quant. Multiplied by height, and that's what's in there, HEI height. So once I do that, I don't have to because it goes in as a default. In here, I need to assign a height, and the height I'm assigning is 2.7. Now, if you want to double check, you can always click your Sheets and Models. I believe you scroll down to section 1. Now it's kind of flipped here a little bit, but you can get the height from your ground floor. This should be kind of turned, I guess, or rotated. Ground floor to the first floor level. Okay, which is right here, 44.2. So that distance says 2.7, and that's ultimately what I'm looking for. So the first item, just go back to my takeoff. The first item I'm measuring is brickwork. I guess I should click on the right drawing, ground and first floor, and the ground and the first floor are on the same drawing. And once I've got that in, and I pretty much think I'm ready to go, that's all I'm looking for there, length and wall area. I'm going to click Start Takeoff. So I'm measuring the brickwork on the outer leaf, and you can see here, based on the hatching, the double hatch out here in the outer leaf is brickwork. So blockwork is usually shown as a kind of a hatched line. Brickwork is double hatched. So again, depending on what way you want to do this, starting on inside or outside, you could also kind of measure through the center line, but I generally measure along one side of the wall line. So starting maybe on the inside here, double click. That kind of registers from there to there, and then I'm starting from here. I'm measuring through my OPE, so don't worry about that, all the way down to there, and then starting on the inside then, and then down as far as my next corner as such, right down to here, double click, finish that, and then that little bit there. Okay, so you can see there that I've got a total length of 29.89 and a wall area of 80.7. So I think that's about right. Now, the next item, so what do we got going on here? The next item is my 100mm block work on my ground floor. So measure the brickwork. Now moving on to my block work. Now it gives you a kind of a heads up, outer leaf two sides, outer leaf two sides. So let's kind of follow that methodology. Click the little plus again and paste in Control V or right click paste the item, 100 meter brickwork, add details, again, wall area. And this is blockwork instead of brickwork, superstructure, external walls, same stuff before. This is my height and 2.7. Now I can type that in, click distance, type in multiply by height, click height, but it's in as a default. And as it's in as a default here, it puts the default height in there as an input, and I got to just put in 2.7. So start takeoff, make sure I've got a different color. I might actually keep that open because I want to see where I start, where I finish. It says outer leaf, so let's just start there. Where the brickwork ends, let's start the block work up to there. Let's click, double click, and then from, I have to zoom in a little bit, from here to, this is my second side, here to, oh, I got the wrong side. Just want to make sure I'm on the right side. Yeah, it's the outside. Here to, I'm zooming in, double click. Okay, so that's my 100 millimeter block work on the ground floor on the outer leaf. I got 28.73 as opposed to what was that, 29.89, 77.56, and then I got the 100 millimeter block work fair face in the ground floor. So let's take that, copy. Now I could duplicate these items, change the name, but I might as well just do this since there's only a couple of outputs to it. 100 millimeter block work. Now this is, I believe, I just double checked that the inner leaf to the factory area. So I've given you a heads up on what that is. Color, well, I can keep that as is. Wall area, because that's what I'm looking for in terms of an output. And of course, it's going to be in external walls. It's going to be meter squared. That's going to be distance times height again, 2.7. So that's all the exact same as what went before. So starting with my internal walls on my factory side. So let's go ahead. I'll leave these out for the moment. I might add them back in depending on whether I need to. When I say these, I mean the kind of, I suppose, the wrapping to the columns. So on the factory side, starting here, factory side being in the workshop side, and you'll see why I'm kind of measuring that. These are, double click, fair face walls because they've got a finer finish. They're exposed, whereas the other walls aren't. Double click. And then I'm kind of working, this one will go as far as here because this is a 215 wall. And then these are stopped there. That's 215. That little bit I could measure, I'll just leave it for the moment. And then starting here and up to, I guess, here. Okay, so there we go. I'm not sure. Do we measure in the bill of quantities as such? Do I have an option for wrapping? Don't think so. So I might as well put it in here into those quants. So I'll just add in that, and then that, and that. Okay. Just keeping the 100 meter block work. Click, click, click into there. Okay. Down this side as well. And then this one little bit here, I guess I should measure. Let's be really correct. Okay, so what did I got there? Close to 127.72 in terms of meters squared. And I guess finishing off my external walls on the ground floor, why not? Measure the 215 block wall. Plus meters squared, distance times height, 2.7. So there's nothing new there. I just created a new dimension called 215 block work ground floor. And this is external walls again. So let's say starting with here, well, keep it on the edge, through to, let's say here. And then I guess I can start here to here to get this wall here to here, and then starting here and going through there to get this side up to where that stops or starts. Okay, so that's my 215 block walls on my ground floor. And these will be measured as internal walls here, so I don't have to worry about that. It was just essentially all my external walls together. So all my ground floor external walls as such should be measured. I've got all my, I suppose, highlighters turned on there just to see, have I missed anything in terms of my ground floor, and I don't think I have. Now, as I said, I have included, I suppose, the surrounds to the columns here, and I don't think I measure them separately. Sometimes you'll see them measured separately, but for the most part, yeah, I think we're okay. So we'll leave it at that, and you can give the first floor walls a go yourselves.